Welcome to the Coaches Preview Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Tonight, we have our WCTV Game of the Week, Ravenwood and Franklin. I want to welcome my special guest here for the first half of our show, Jay Johnson, Franklin High School girls coach, Andrew James of Ravenwood High School. Gentlemen, appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You guys, the last meeting was on December 10th at Franklin High School. Ravenwood comes out on top 47-27 for the season. Ravenwood at 4-5, 9-9 overall. Franklin 1-8, 5-14 in league play. Coach James, second go around the league, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think your team learned after that first go around? Because you've played every team once, right. Obviously Independence now twice, but what did you learn from that?
Well, I think we're figuring out kind of who we are, and we're getting more comfortable in the offense that we're running, and we're starting to figure out who our defensive go-to players are, defensive stoppers, and just continuing to play together. We've really only had a couple of games this year where we've actually had everyone play, so we're still trying to figure out how to play with our full team and everything. So, you know, we've learned try to learn the strengths and weaknesses of our opponents and everything. So, you know, it's always a lot tougher when you play teams second time around because you know each other a lot better. So you got to really execute your stuff a lot better this second part of the season.
Coach Johnson, you're a veteran and a rookie all at the same time. Obviously, the longtime boys coach at Franklin High School, all-time wins leader there in the school for basketball, kind of taking a step back from coaching for a few years, and now you're taking over the girls program. Tell me what it's like to be back.
Hey, I've enjoyed it. It's been a blessing. We've really come a long way. If you look at what we look like in November and early December and what we look like right now, it's just it's been an amazing transformation. I mean, it hadn't shown with wins and losses, but we've really come a long way. And now we're just trying to get over the hump and get that signature win. We've come close many times. But, you know, part of the process we told the girls is going to be learning how to win.
Something that may be unique about your teams, but I would include, obviously, Independence in this as well, but you guys are new head coaches to your team. Obviously, you've been an assistant, Coach James, but I feel like your ceiling, you know, might be higher, so to speak, because you're figuring each other out still, your teams, right? And they're figuring you out, you're figuring them out, so you've got to be pleased with your progress so far and still feel like you've got a ways to go. Coach James, answer that first.
Yeah, I feel that way. We're learning as a coaching staff what we need to do best to help our team succeed. You know, we first game against Independence, we actually changed our offense after that game to fit what was best for our personnel, and I feel like we still can be more consistent with it, but we're still learning it and starting to get to the point now where we can start doing more reaction stuff off of it and just getting more comfortable with it. So yeah, it's part of it when you're first year with a team. They're figuring you out and you're figuring them out as well. So it has. Well, I feel like we still have a long way to go in that process.
Coach Johnson, same thing. Do you still feel like because of that, maybe your best is still out ahead of you?
I think so. In fact, you know, when I took the job, I think the summer was almost over. So we got very few days together in the summer. In the fall, we had a lot of girls doing other things, you know, with other activities at school. So we, you know, when you think about it, we really didn't start till November. And one of the ways you can tell they're just now picking up on it is I'm having to do a lot less coaching during a game than I was doing earlier. They're starting to pick up on things on their own. And again, we've got a long ways to go, but we're just now starting to see some of the what we were looking for.
That's great. Let's talk Ravenwood a little bit more. Obviously, when you talk Ravenwood girls basketball, you talk about Lexi Erickson continuing to play well. Last week had 29 in a game versus Centennial, but you've got some other players stepping up. Mary Prestigard, Elizabeth Flynn, Ella Craig. Talk about their play of late. Obviously with Grimes as well, but right. Talk about those ladies.
Yeah, you know, Elizabeth has only played a few games with us, and she's a freshman. You know, she's figuring it out, being new to playing high school basketball. And yeah, Mary Prescott's been playing really well for us and does a lot of good things for us. She's a good passer, a good defender, and besides scoring. And then Ella gives us a really good presence inside. Lexi, 29 points, career high last week. She's the heartbeat of our team. The girls look to her to lead us. And, she is making our other players better. And, I like the progress of our players. Like you said, Reagan Grimes adds a lot to us as well. But just our whole team is bought in on what we're trying to do. And so it's just naturally we're going to have other players continue to progress and get better. So I like, Tuesday night was a tough loss for us, but I like where we're heading right now. So I feel good about the rest of the season.
Coach Johnson, your team, again, not a ton of wins, which you talked about earlier, but still working hard and having a great attitude. I was around your team last week, but they're still obviously very bought into what you're doing. Bergen Ali, Kate O'Neill, those names obviously stand out when you talk about Franklin Lady Rebel basketball. Talk about them and the rest of your team.
Well, Bergen has done a great job, and she's playing out of position. I mean, we've made her play point guard just because she's the best one for the job, and she's done an admirable job filling in and doing that. Hopefully we'll have Lila Gardner. She's a freshman. We're going to keep throwing Lila out there, and maybe we can take the ball and put it in her hands a little more and free Bergen up a little bit more with the offense. Kate's really come on since Christmas. She had a monster tournament, made the all-tournament team for the Middle Tennessee Invitational, and has played well since, had several games over 20 points. So Kate's really, and one of the things Kate's doing a lot better is facing up at the basket and coming out a little bit, putting the ball on the floor a little bit. So, those two are, they're our heart and soul right now. Another good addition's been Brenna Swiger. Brenna's come in from soccer, not a lot of experience with basketball, but she just brings a good element of toughness to us. The other night she had 8 steals the other night at Centennial.
Wow.
So she's really helped us defensively and helped us on the boards.
What about the difference between coaching boys and girls? Because you coached boys for a long time, and now you jump back in coaching girls. What's the difference there, Coach Johnson?
Gosh, there's so many, and the one I always
They
joke.
listen?
The ones I always joke with the guys about, I say they're a lot nicer than y'all are.
The gifts are better?
I'll always use the
I don't know if we can receive gifts, by the way, so if we can't, just X that out.
the one I always use is I missed one of the fall workout days. I went home, had a headache, wasn't feeling well. The next day, every single girl pretty much stopped by my office. Coach, you feel better? The guys would have never checked in on me to see if I was doing okay.
They would have said, Coach, since you missed a day, do I get to miss one later?
No, yes, you're definitely right on that. But no, I always joke that's it. But when it gets down to it, basketball is basketball, right. and they all want to do the same things, and they play the same way.
Talking girls standings now for the district: Brentwood 8-0, Page 8-1, Dixon 7-1, Indy 6-2, Ravenwood 4-5, Summit 3-5, Spring Hill 2-6, Franklin 1-8, Centennial 0-9. Coach James, at the season ended today, you're looking at the 4-5 game. How do you feel about that?
Well, I haven't really thought about it that much. That would be a pretty decent matchup for us. But our focus right now is just getting better today. I mean, I know the cliche is, we're just ready to play Franklin, and then we'll worry about all that other stuff. We just know we keep getting better. It doesn't matter who we play at the end of the season. Hopefully we'll feel good about our progress and feel that we're playing our best. Basketball is a tournament sport. It's all about us playing our best when that game gets here. So we're just worried about getting better each day, and we'll let the standings fall where they may, and then we'll get ready for that game when it's here. But right now we're just focused on getting better today. So.
And if it did end today, you would take on Independence. Talk about that game Tuesday night. That was a great game, obviously. It was 43-41 late. I know they hit a couple free throws to go up 4, but that was a nip and tuck game the whole way, right?
It was. be ideal for us to score more than 11 points in the first half. But, yeah, you know, that was a tough game. We were down by 11 in the fourth quarter and ended up taking the lead. So we had a lot of fight. We can play a lot better, but I told them, you know, you give us that effort every night, we'll help you with the rest of the stuff. So it was good to see us fight back, and they're a really good team. Coach Glasser's done a great job with them and changing the culture there. And yeah, we just felt like it was right there. Just a few plays didn't go our way, but you know, I feel like in the second half we started playing the way that we were playing a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I mean that if we were to play them in the play-in game, those have been 2 close games, and we feel like we're right there. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Coach, you guys, Coach Johnson sitting at 8th right now in the league. What's the mindset? Are you guys more about, let's talk about today, getting better? You talked earlier about maybe looking for that signature win. Obviously, in an ideal situation, you're now probably not playing that 8-9 game, and you may not be there. I mean, you win here or there, you could move up pretty rapidly. What's the mindset for you and your team right now?
Well, we talked back in October about, you know, February is what we're looking to, middle of February. Hopefully we're playing our best. You know, you look at that top 3, I mean, I don't know if there's a good matchup in the top 3 with any of them, because that's 3 good teams up there at the top. So, you know, ideally, if you can get out of that bottom 3 spot so you can avoid those teams, but, you know, that's, you know, we have to go on some kind of winning streak to do that. But, you know, if we just continue to progress, you know, we might be somebody people don't want to play late in the year.
Let me ask you this, Coach Johnson, and this, I'm not saying you're going to finish here, but if you had a situation where, like, you could be 7th and take on 2, or you could be 8 and play in an 8-9 game where you might even be favored and get into the tournament a little bit, would you prefer one of those over the other?
Not really. Just like I said, when I look at those top 3, there is no advantage to playing Page, Brentwood, or Dixon County. I mean, they are 3 good teams,
Yeah, they are.
and you know, it's there's no weak spot in any of the 3.
47-27 we mentioned in the last matchup in December. Coach James, how do you make that happen again in tonight's game?
Well, we try to stop O'Neal and Ali, sorry. Yeah, they're 2 really good players, and I know, you know, those are the 2 players that we have to stop in order to be successful and hopefully just run our stuff offensively. I know they're going to be prepared for us and well coached, and so it's going to be tough. It's, you know, for us, I know we had a good game against them last time, but we got to show up ready to play, because I know that they've continued to get better and improve, and you know, it's kind of a scary game, and I know that if we don't play well, we're going to be in trouble. So,
Coach Johnson, what do you do to turn it around from December 10th?
Well, hopefully we shoot better than 18% from the field. That number stuck in my head the entire season, but we shot 18% for the game against them last time. And I don't know if everybody remembers the last game, it was a snow day. We got out a half a day.
Yeah, I do remember
and
that.
I told the girls, I said, a lot of times on a game like this with a snow day and a distraction, it's whichever team gets their mentally back in it quickest.
Right.
And it looked like we didn't that day. We were not the tougher of the 2 teams mentally and shot poorly. So we'll have to shoot better, that's for sure, and take care of the basketball.
Well, gentlemen, we're looking forward to tonight's game. Should be a great matchup. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to come visit. We'll be back in just a few moments to talk to Coach Tigert and Coach Whitlock.
Hi, Williamson County. Ever wonder why a school bus is yellow? I'm Deputy Jonathan Cooey with the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, and I have an important message for you. When you're out driving and see the yellow school bus, slow down, pay attention, use caution. There's nothing that you're doing or no place you're going that's more important than the lives inside this bus. Already this year across the United States, too many lives have been lost at bus stops due to people being in a hurry and not paying attention. So please, use caution when you see a school bus on the road.
It's yellow for a reason.
I know, right?
Williamson County Schools and the Williamson County Sheriff's Office want to remind you to be on the lookout for the big yellow bus.
Welcome back to the Coaches Preview Show. Now joined by Jason Tigert, Franklin High School, Patrick Whitlock of Ravenwood. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us.
Coach Whitlock, we talked about this last time when he was here, the veteran of the league, 14 years there at Ravenwood High School. Coach Tigert, you got a little different situation.
Sure.
New to the show because you're new to WCS, but 6 years before at Dickson County before taking over at Franklin. So you're the rookie.
I'm the rookie between the two.
Coach Tigert, let me ask you this, just to kind of loosen up the atmosphere. What kind of guy plays almost 100% zone defense?
Well, a guy that's had a lot of success over here to my left right here. I know. Obviously, we've got some philosophical differences defensively, and but Coach, you did a great job with the 1-3-1, and we're just trying to do the same thing with our man-to-man.
Now, I wasn't setting that up as a compliment. I was ready for you to say what you normally say when we're talking.
Well, this is being televised, so.
Coach Tigert, we're very excited, obviously, to have you in the league and for you to be at Franklin High School. I think it's a great fit out there for sure. Coach Whitlock, since we had you last on the show, your team had been playing better. Obviously, you're looking for a big breakout win over one of the top 4 teams, but maybe aside from Tuesday night's game, which we'll talk about in a minute, talk about how your team has been kind of slowly but surely getting better.
Yeah, I mean, we're real inexperienced. We've got 2 kids, 2 seniors in Rex Gaynor and Atif Williams that have played significant minutes before at the varsity level, and then Trevor Andrews, who played essentially a full system. But everybody else, everybody else is relatively new. So it's on-the-job training, and it's been a process and difficult and frustrating at times. But we'll lace it up tonight and hope for a better result.
The last time you were here, we had that big Battle of the Woods game, which is always such an exciting game. But that's one of those, again, we're talking about one of those signature wins. They're 8-0 in the league, and really you're a shot away from beating them that night. So that's got to be something you can draw on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but the league is been improving every year, and I feel like in the past it's been a little top heavy. Last year it was Franklin and Brentwood and maybe some others, and I don't feel like, even though Dickson and Brentwood are undefeated going into their matchup, that there's a clear-cut favorite once you get into the tournament. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Just want to get better every day and prepare for February 20th.
Coach Tigert, your team's off to a 13-6 start, 5-4 in district play. Lost 3 of your last 4, but against very tough competition, 1 outside the league, 2 that were inside the league. Talk a little bit about Tuesday's game versus Brentwood. I know that was just a tough game that was back and forth, and they pushed out a little bit at the end. But talk about that game on Tuesday night.
Well, and Brentwood, you got to give them credit. They find ways to continue to win close games. And Coach Shirley's really got that bunch buying in. And teams like that, they value the basketball. They're willing to control the pace of the game where they're comfortable, and they guard really well within the 3 line. And so they've done a good job of stringing together wins and very, win by 2 here, win by 4 here, and so you got to give them credit. I don't think we played poorly. I think it's more Brentwood. They won a lot of 50-50 balls that we've got to come up with, and they buried shots when they got their feet set. And so I think it's more, Brentwood's just playing really well right now.
With them too, it seems like to me, and I've watched every team play in the league, their chemistry may be better than any team's.
Yeah, they've got great chemistry and they got great balance. They might not have the star power that some of the other teams in the league have, but what they've got is really, really good balance, and that was showcased last night.
Reed Kemp, speaking of stars in the league, your junior point guard averaging over 20 points a game. Matt Thurman, obviously another junior, averaging in double digits. And talk a little bit, too, about the emergence of Aiden Smiley. That's a name that most people until this year didn't know about.
Sure, yeah. Aiden kind of flies under the radar because Matt and Reed have those big numbers. But Aiden's one that he leads us in minutes per game. He leads us in rebounding as well, and so he's been consistently our best defender throughout the year. And he's one of those guys. He has a little bit of he's got that mid-range game, which we appreciate. It's kind of a lost art, and he's got a high motor, and so he's really emerged as a really good option for us. But you mentioned Matt and Reed. Reed has been on fire for a couple weeks now, putting up big numbers. Player of the week, and so we're real excited about that. And Matt, obviously, a double kind of guy, and really playing good basketball for us.
Let's talk Ravenwood here real quickly. 6-12 overall, 2-7 in the league. Coach, we were talking about how your team's been playing better, but even though I think your teams are similar, that loss against Independence Tuesday night, did that feel like a little bit of a backward step, or it's just, hey, it's just par for the course, it's going to be like that every game?
Yeah, it was definitely a step backwards. No disrespect to Independence, but it's a game that we didn't have our football guys when we played them the first time and felt we should have beat them, and we just did not play very well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of been we've just been so inconsistent. If we can get all our guys playing well on the same night, I think we're a very formidable opponent. But when the game is called the way it was called, and they let you be really physical, that something Independence is very good at. They make their presence known, and Coach Kyle makes sure they play hard. They've always played hard since he's been there, and they get after it. So they're a much improved team, but it's definitely a step back, in my opinion, and the kids have probably felt that based on the reaction. So, we just have to prepare for tonight and come out and play better.
Gaynor and Dang obviously leading your team that particular night with 13-10, but 6 of 23 shooting after the half. And it seems like to me, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seems like so many times as a coach, we so judge how we're playing, but if you really take a look, it seems like it's shooting a lot of times. And maybe that's bad shot selection. Maybe you just didn't make shots that night. Maybe you just can't shoot. But it seems like it just so many times comes down to how well you shoot. Do you agree with that?
That's been the case a lot. After the game, I was very frustrated with a variety of things. Then you wake up the next morning and you look at the stat sheet from Huddle, and you're like, wasn't that bad.
Right.
It's like, when your best player goes 1 for 8 from 3, I mean, you're probably not going to win many games. And the looks weren't bad, and he wasn't playing undisciplined. It just, is kind of one of those things in the heat of the moment. You don't feel the same way as you do after you have a chance to kind of look and reflect on it. So, it's upward and onward from this point.
Coach Tigert, would you agree with that? A lot of times it is about shooting?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's it seems very simplistic, but when you lose tight games and you go back, like Coach said, and you look at the numbers, and you're 1 from 8 or 1 for 9 from a position where you've been burying them, that's what it comes down to. But ultimately, though, yeah, shooting, but what you want to do defensively, if you can lock in and get stops, then that kind of protects you on those bad shooting nights. And so that's kind of been a focus of ours. If we can force teams into taking contested mid-range shots and rebound the basketball, then we give ourselves a chance when we don't shoot it well. So, sure. I mean, when you shoot it 60% from three-point range, well, you can give up some stuff. But when you can't count on that every night. So, yes, shooting can bail you out when you shoot it well, but you can also protect yourself when you guard when you have those bad shooting nights.
And obviously, when you get in the tournament, it seems like that shooting gets a little worse sometimes. You got to be able to get some stops in order to succeed, get deep in the tournament.
Yeah, tournament ball, as teams and coaching staffs have all your actions, and they're preparing like crazy, and they're taking away your number 1 and 2 options, it gets tough to score. And so that's, you've got to match that on the other end defensively.
Let's talk about district standings here. Brentwood and Dixon still atop the league, both undefeated at 8-0. Centennial and Franklin sitting at 5-4. Summit at 5-3, Ravenwood 2-7. Coach Whitlock, and this could obviously end up a lot of different ways, but I'm telling you, I am sensing a Brentwood, Ravenwood first round. I mean, not that you were looking ahead, but what would that be like?
I mean, it
we're
would
playing
be
the hypotheticals
You
here
know,
today,
I mean,
so-
our mantra at this point is after every game we're 0-0. I actually bought a little button, and the kids have to punch it as they leave the locker room. I mean, we're getting all culture gimmicky here now, trying to do whatever we can.
Whatever it takes,
yeah,
man.
whatever it takes. If it's Brentwood, that's fine. I mean, we don't have a preference of who we play.
Yeah.
You know, it ultimately, like we've talked about all along, is there's going to be 4 teams that leave February 20th extremely disappointed because I think there's 8 teams legitimately think they have a chance to advance. So if it's Brentwood, that's fine. If it's Franklin, Summit, Dixon, I mean, that's just, it is what it is at this point. I mean, we'd like to avoid Dixon just because that trip is a hassle. But other than that, you know, it doesn't matter to us.
So, you know, sitting from my seat now, I've got nothing else to do in terms of game preparation. These are things I think about. It seems matchup-wise.
Must be nice, by the way.
I mean, I've got other stuff going on, don't get me wrong. But in terms of when I think basketball or football or whatever sport I'm thinking about, I think about matchups. And, you know, oddly enough, again, not to go back to Brentwood too much, you know, I've got the Ravenwood and Franklin guy on the show. I don't want to talk a lot about Brentwood. But I think matchup-wise for you, it's kind of an ideal matchup. I just think you match up well with Franklin. Not that you match up poorly, but it's not your best matchup in the league because of their size.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and it's all about matchups, like you said. And so it's interesting when you look, and like Coach said, I think there's 8 teams that believe they can advance, and so it's going to be a heck of a tournament, no doubt.
Coach Tigert, if the season ended today, you'd be taking on Centennial in the first round, the 4-5 game. How would that be? So you guys are worried about tonight, but I'm worried about like 3 weeks from now.
Well, sure. I mean, you get a Brentwood-Ravenwood matchup, and then you get a Centennial-Franklin matchup. The
Yes.
gates are going to be great.
Yes, I'm kind of for those matchups, by the way. I think that'd be great.
Are we going to have an after party at Mafioso's again? I mean, how's that work? So,
Depends on if you win or lose.
there's going to be some upset people. It might not be the best night. So.
No, we'd be fine with that. It'd be very exciting. It'd be a great atmosphere, and I think you know 1 through 8. I really don't care who the matchup is. We want, like Coach said, we just want to get better every day. I think we're significantly better than what we were in December. I think we're going the right way. We've played a very challenging schedule, so I like where we're heading. And but there's going to be at tournament time. There's going to be 4 disappointed teams that are pretty good.
No doubt.
To go home.
Let's talk a little bit more about tonight's game. December 10th, Franklin with the 70-54 win at Franklin. Coach Tigert, what are some keys to getting that win tonight like you did back in December?
Well, you got to keep up with obviously Ravenwood's shooters, and the coach does a good job. Their offensive actions are really as good as anybody in the league, and so we got to make sure that we keep up with guys that can hurt us and limit them to 1 shot.
Coach Whitlock, that last game a little bit maybe more high scoring than you want, 70-54, maybe the 50s are okay, but what do you do to maybe keep that score a little bit lower tonight, if that's what you want to do?
Well, I mean, we're going to adjust the game plan. Last time they were coming off a Brentwood game where they were like 3 of 23 from 3. And so I was like, oh, they can't shoot it very well. And then Smiley, I think, hit 5 threes against us, and Kemp hit maybe 4. So obviously that was a poor choice of how to go about that. But, I mean, trying to keep Kemp under control is obviously really significant. It's really hard because they can spread the floor with shooters like Smiley, and then Matt Thurman is a really good inside-out guy. So, I mean, we have our work cut out for us, but trying to slow them down offensively is obviously really critical, and then preparing for all the junk defenses that Coach runs.
It's a little simpler a year ago.
Spent a lot of time on that. No, it's never simple against this guy. That's why you don't want to play him in the first round of the district, because you have to prepare for like 13 different things.
I was saying Franklin was a little simpler.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, just the 1-3-1. So thanks a lot for taking this job. Made the scout a lot more difficult. But, it just, we just have to come out and compete and be physical. Yeah. And I think the games where we haven't been very good this year, the games where we haven't been physical enough, like Tuesday night. We were physical against Brentwood, had a chance to win, weren't physical on Tuesday, we lost. It's just part of the growing pains of playing a younger team.
Well, we know it's going to be a great game. You guys are not only 2 of the best in the league, but obviously in Middle Tennessee as well, in my opinion. So looking forward to it, and I thank you guys for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
We'll see you next time on the Coach's Preview Show.